I'm Jackie Downing. I'm the Director of Grantmaking and Nonprofit Effectiveness for the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven in New Haven, Connecticut. And I'd like to tell you today a little bit about grant writing so that you can approach any grant application that comes your way. Let's start with some of the basics. And they may sound really basic, and I'm sorry to have to say them, but in my experience in grant writing and in grant reading, I've seen these things happen. So I'm going to go over some of the basics for you and make sure that you don't make these common mistakes. Be on time. Don't ask for an extension. It puts you in a bad light from the very beginning. Your failure to plan ahead is not the grant maker's problem. So make sure that you're going to be on time and you don't need to ask for an extension. And be complete. Read their instructions. They all ask for something different. Make sure that you're following each and every instruction throughout the application, including all of the supporting documents, the number of originals, the number of copies. If you need original signatures, notary stamps, corporate seals, take a look and make sure that you're giving them everything that they need. Don't be disqualified on a technicality by not providing all the requested information. When you're looking for a grant, you should do your homework. Understand what the grantors are looking for. Understand their priorities. Understand how what you do fits in with what they do. Don't try to shift into getting money from something that is not true to your mission. Make sure you are being true to what you do. And have a good idea before you start looking for grants of what you're trying to accomplish, how you're going to do that, how you're going to fund it in perpetuity, and make sure you're very clear about how you evaluate what you do. When you get to the application, answer the question. Sometimes we wax poetic about the wonderful things that we do in our nonprofit industry, but we skirt around the actual answer to the question. So make sure that you've read the question and that your answer really addresses it. Now, there are several probable sections in every grant application that you'll encounter. The need in the community. Why are you doing what you do? Why is what you do needed? The proposal, the actual what you'll do. I always liken this to the peanut butter and jelly sandwich game I played when I was a kid. How do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Well, you take a piece of bread and spread on the peanut butter. But you didn't say use a knife. In a grant application, make sure you say use the knife. What are you going to do step by step? Your anticipated outputs and your outcomes. Outputs are numbers of things. How many people? How many meals will you serve? How many jobs will you get? How many people will you serve in your after-school program? Those are the numbers, the outputs. The outcomes are what's going to happen to those people, to your community, to your neighborhood, because they've participated in your program. What's the change in behavior? What's the change in society? The outcome. You'll have to have evidence of what you're going to do is going to work. Why do you think this is going to work? Are you working on a model from Cleveland? Have you done this before and you have your own track record? What's the evidence that this will succeed? What are the inputs that you're bringing to the table? What assets do you already have in place? Lots of volunteers, space, equipment, an evidence-based curriculum. What input are you bringing? What other funders are part of the package? Do you have others that believe so much in your program that they want to put resources in? And who's your leadership? How are they qualified to run and manage this program? And the last section is evaluation. What are your goals? How will you measure them? How will you know that you've reached them? And what percentages do you think you will accomplish within your project? When you can, use the language of the grantor in your application. When you go to their website to do your research, you'll see that they have certain priorities in their giving. If it matches with your mission, feed it back to them. Use their language in the application. When you're all finished, let someone who's unfamiliar with the project read it. Your significant other, someone on your staff, or a volunteer whose salary is not affected by the grant itself. But let them read it. It'll give you two things. It will give you an opportunity to see where the gaps are, where the questions are. And it will also give you the opportunity to have input from the direct service staff or the people who are actually going to deliver the program. Maybe they have a better idea. Maybe they can enhance what you've already written. So let someone else read it and get feedback from them. And be sure to give yourself plenty of time so you're going to make the deadline. When it talks about binding and presenting your application, read the instructions. Follow the guidelines that are given to you. If it says 12-point type, don't make it 11.7 because you wrote a little too much. Don't go to 0.9 margins when they ask for 1 inch. Respect their guidelines. And watch over character limits in boxes. Sometimes you'll run out of space and you won't know that you have exceeded the limit. You move to the next box and it will truncate your sentence. You will not know that you've lost half of what you've just written. So make sure that you're following the guidelines and watching carefully. And when you do your financials, make sure the numbers match. Prepare a realistic budget. Make sure you have administration and shared expenses built into that. And make sure that the numbers on the front page of your application match the rest of your application. So those are the basics to writing a grant. There's lots more information available if you Google, but I hope this was helpful.